Welcome to your daily current affairs briefing, tailored specifically for your UPSC preparation. We're going to jump right in, because today we're covering a massive Supreme Court decision on citizens' rights, the tricky world of AI regulation, and a whole lot more. Okay, let's do this. So we're going to kick things off with a landmark judgment. And believe me, this has some major implications for your GS Paper 2 syllabus, especially when it comes to fundamental rights. So what's on the docket today? Well, we've got everything from those crucial constitutional safeguards to the latest in economic crime, tech governance, and more. These are the key developments we're going to break down right now. All right, let's dive into our first section, polity and governance. We're starting here for a reason. There was a fundamental ruling today that actually has ripple effects across a lot of the other topics we're going to touch on. Okay, so this is a really big deal. What the Supreme Court has done here is mandate that the reasons for an arrest have to be given in writing. To everyone, in all cases. This extends a key protection that we used to see mainly in special laws like the PMLA to all regular offenses under the IPC, or, well, the BNS now. This is a huge boost for the right to personal liberty under Article 21. Now this is something you see all the time in GS2, right? It's that classic constitutional friction point, the separation of powers. On one side, you have the executive saying, hey, the Supreme Court can't tell Parliament how to write laws. And on the other, you have the judiciary worried that the way things are now, these tribunals aren't truly independent. And it doesn't stop there. Take a look at these three things happening. You've got a federalism issue with the Supreme Court stepping in on a high court matter. Then you've got the use of some very serious statutory powers, like the National Security Act, or NSA, for preventative detention. And finally, a look at the critical role of media and the police. These are all gold for your mains answers. And this really gives you a great snapshot of the constant churn in our administrative and electoral systems. We're seeing reforms in statutory bodies like the Comptroller and Auditor General, the CAG. We're also seeing critiques of urban governance under the 74th Amendment. And, of course, controversies in electoral processes, like with the Election Commission of India's special intensive revision. Okay, shifting gears now, let's move into the economic landscape. We're going to focus on where crime, regulation, and welfare policies all meet. First up, we've got this number, 11.14 crore rupees. Now, on its own, that's a lot of money, right? But what it represents is the scale of organized crime that's happening in the digital world. The Enforcement Directorate, using the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, or PMLA, seized this from just one illegal betting platform. It just goes to show how deep this stuff runs. And then, boom, look at this, a figure that is nearly 400 times larger. This just highlights the absolutely massive scale of some corporate debt cases and the ongoing headache of non-performing assets for big lenders like the State Bank of India. Now, this quote, it really gets to the heart of a huge policy debate for GS Paper 3, and you could even argue for GS Paper 4 on ethics. Is something like a universal basic income the radical answer we need to fix our welfare system and tackle the big problems of modern capitalism? And we're seeing other big moves in the economy, too. You've got the urgent need to regulate big tech, some subtle but really important reforms in our capital markets by SEBI, that's the Securities and Exchange Board of India, and of course, the constant push for skill development to get our workforce ready for a digital future. All right, let's move on. We're going to connect two topics that are just getting more and more tangled up these days, environment and technology. This chart, wow, it really tells a story, doesn't it? It shows the immediate threat from crop burning on Delhi's air. 10% is already enough to push the air quality into the very poor zone. And just look at the forecast. It's expected to get much, much worse. So, what's being done? Well, there are three big policy ideas in the works. First, a change to how environmental impact assessments, or EIAs, handle delays from lawsuits. Second, a major push for greener flying with something called Sustainable Aviation Fuel, or SAF. And third, a real look into the future of the circular economy with solar waste recycling. So how do you even begin to regulate AI? Well, this table breaks down the government's first big attempt. They're trying to get a handle on deepfakes and all that synthetic media by forcing creators to add clear, unmissable labels. This is a huge issue for tech regulation and, frankly, for internal security. And this is the perfect example of that double-edged sword of technology, isn't it? On one hand, you have serious new threats like GPS spoofing, which is a major security risk. But on the other hand, you've got these amazing new solutions, like using AI to help with mental health support or to revolutionize forensic analysis. Okay, let's zoom out a bit now and look at the bigger picture. How India is engaging with the world and some of the key things happening in social justice. So on the world stage, you can see India's juggling a lot. We're talking about crucial diaspora issues in Myanmar, we're deepening our ties with Africa, we're fighting transnational crime with help from Interpol, and we're keeping a close eye on the regional stability in places like Sudan, all critical for GS Paper 2. And back home, the social landscape is just as complex. You've got these three totally different but equally important stories unfolding. A really progressive step for gender equality in Karnataka, then a very complicated ruling on protections for vulnerable groups, and a nuanced court decision that prioritized a child's welfare in a child marriage case. All right, last section. Let's do a quick fire round to nail down some facts for your prelims. Ready? First up, remember this year, 2027. That's when we're scheduled to have India's first ever digital census. And this number, wow, it's a tough one to see. 6,611. That's how many people lost their lives in fires just in Delhi over the last 15 years. It's a key data point for urban safety and disaster management, and a really stark reminder of the challenges our cities face. And that brings us to the end. So, as you go back over all of this, I want you to chew on this question, because it connects pretty much all of the biggest themes from today. It's the perfect thought to reflect on for your mains answers.